Hey y'all. I'm trying to get my phone to work and it's not working. So cause I like to have it playing like the live playing on my phone as well. Cause comments come in faster on my phone than they do on the actual live. Okay. Now it's working. Let me turn the volume down. Okay. Okay. There we go. How is everyone? Is everyone doing all right? Hey, hey, hey. I see quite a few people. Deidre. You silly. Hey, and Jerry. Hey, Rachel. How was everybody's day? I'm exhausted. I uh I drank a cup of coffee later than what I should have drank a cup of coffee, but that's life. Um I'm stressed. I'm ready for this holiday break. But you're right, Darcy. Today is such a Monday. Today is a true Monday. Rachel, I'm jealous. I'm so jealous. I felt like I got hit by a train earlier today. Actually, I was so tired today. I was like, I thought I was getting sick. I was like, oh, am I getting sick? But I'm not getting sick. I'm just tired. Right? I would love a drink, please. Thank you, love. Oh, well, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm right there with Nigerian. Amaretto sour sounds amazing. It sounds so good. Yeah, I thought I was getting sick because I've been congested and I just felt really, really tired today. And I was like, oh, shoot, am I getting sick? I don't think I'm getting sick. I think I literally am just, I think it's just been a tough day. I have been okay, so this is a good question for everybody before we get started. What has everybody been reading? I oh gosh. This month for me has just been an interesting month for reading. So I have been reading a lot of tough stuff because it's nonfiction November. So of course I think most know I'm reading or I read Sisters in Hate. I read that book. Um and I read the book about Trump, and then I read another book about a white supremacist. So I read a bunch of Thanksgiving romance novellas last night to kind of take me out of the headspace. But I think reading those three books have kind of just it's drained me a little bit. So my reading has not been good. So I'm actually finishing up Winter Counts now. I think I only have like 30% left of Winter Counts. So hopefully finish that. I need to finish Black Sun and I need to finish There There. So those are the three that I'm kind of like trying to get done before the month is over with. No, just watch count. What did you do? Explain this way. Oh, it's the same. I'm gonna talk about that in Jerry because I think everybody's been going through the same thing with like up and down subscribers and watch time and views. And apparently there is a particular reason why that is happening at this moment. Because it's happening to everything. It's happening to everyone right now. Listen, please let me know how you feel when you finish it. Because it was a no for me. Yeah, yeah. I think I went a little too hard on nonfiction November, to be honest with you. I think I did a little too much because having to read about Trump and then women that identify as white, well, not white supremacy, but white nationalism, because the two groups don't consider themselves to be the same thing, but whatever. I mean, whatever. But yeah, reading the book about Trump and then reading two books about white nationalists, it's been such a lot. Okay, Kitchen Princess is good. Black Sun. I started it on audio and then I needed to do a blended read because it was too much to read on audio. Yeah, yeah. The romance novellas have been like a blast. I've been enjoying them. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, I haven't finished it. I was able to get a copy, which has been great. The Name of the Wind. Is Patrick Rothfuss ever going to write that third book? Two people reading Name of the Wind. Leah, what do you think about Burn Our Bodies Down? How's it going? Jade War. Okay, one day I will get to that series. Okay, okay. The Night Circus. Advanced Human Anatomy. Is this for a class or are you reading this for fun? Okay, so let me tell y'all about my copy of Wild Seed, okay? I ordered my copy of Wild Seed like at the beginning of the month. It was supposed no, I ordered it at the end of last month. It was supposed to come the first week of this month, and then it never showed up. So the person that I got it from, I asked them to give me a refund, and then guess what showed up today? Wild Seed. Are we surprised? No. We should not be surprised. I wanted to read Stamp from the beginning this month too, but the amount of books that another thing that I read, if y'all have not read the book by Kwame Alexander, it just came out. It's only 100 pages. It's three poems. I recommend listening to it on audio. It's called Light for the World to See. That also was difficult to listen to. It was 13 minutes and I listened to it 4 times and cried. Just cried. Okay, Second Chance on Cypress Lane. Tar Baby. Yeah, that's a tough one too. I believe I started that one once and it was hard. It was hard. I have a copy of that. I still haven't read it yet. Yikes, 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 yikes. I think everybody's kind of slumping it now. I think everybody's kind of getting into a slump. Yeah, Poppy War. I'm reading the first one with Erica from the Broken Spine. Next month, Erica, are we reading it next month if you're still here? Yeah, 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 yeah. It was a lot. It was a lot. And the rhetoric used in the books was just hard to make it through. Hey, Rebecca. I still need to read that. I still need to read that one. Okay, I see some stuff. Christina C. Jones. Hey, Tamir. I think everybody's reading a little bit of Black Sun. That's great. That's good. Okay, so um, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's talk a little bit. So, um, as you guys have been seeing, what I've been doing is I've been going live like once a week, and each week we've kind of been talking a little bit about different topics. We talked about comics, graphic novels, and manga one week. What did we talk about last week, y'all? Oh, booktube expectations. And this week we are talking about subscription numbers and um, views on videos. So before we get started, what I did want to say is that I have been seeing um, I didn't really, honestly, I didn't really think anything of it. Usually if I have view counts that drop, usually I feel like it's attributed to like the time of month that it may be, depending upon like who's viewing, whether people get busy with school, personal, like whatever. But then I noticed that it was a lot more people than just me. And apparently what's happening is that I don't know how, like whether this has been truly confirmed or not, because I haven't gotten any notice like a terms change for YouTube. But what a lot of people have been saying is that they're noticing that they're not seeing everyone's videos in their subscription feed. So if you're subscribed to someone, you're not seeing when they're uploading. So what a lot of people have been saying over the past month or so is that their watch time and their subs and everything are jacked up. So everybody has kind of been, and I don't know if it's necessarily everybody, but from people that I kind of see, people that I've talked to, their watch time and stuff and their views on their videos um has kind of dropped. So, and Jerry, that if that's been happening to you lately, that's what I have been hearing. So what people have been saying is that when you hit the bell for notifications, make sure you change it to all so you're getting notified for everything that that creator puts out, or you may be missing stuff. I have known that people have gotten notifications late. And then there seems to be some discrepancy as well, where like it's happening with some channels more than others. And I'm not sure why that is. Some people, when I put out one video once, some people were telling me that they didn't see it, but then others were saying that they did see it. So I'm not sure what exactly is going on, but I know that everybody in the past couple months has said like their watch time, their views, and everything has just completely just dropped. So I think that's kind of a normal thing for everybody. I kind of did a little bit of try to see what I could find on Twitter, which wasn't a lot, but I did see people saying kind of the same thing that has been said in our community, in the Booktube community, is that they're not always getting notifications of when people are uploading, or they don't always see in the subscription box. And that's happened for me for some people that I follow. I haven't been always seeing new videos when they upload them. Like Bree, I'm going to use you as an example. When Bree did her Q&A, it wasn't in my subscription box. And I actually didn't know that she had uploaded a Q&A until I went to her page and I saw that there was a new video there. So creators are asking if you can, um, if you like, hit the notification button. Um, if you know if there's certain people that you follow a lot, like make sure you're checking to see if they upload, because some people are saying like they thought that the creators that they were following just stopped uploading, and so it's been a mess. So um if you've seen some major changes in your counts, in your numbers, that's probably what it's attributed to at this point. And honestly, YouTube is very much so it's very much so AI, so it's not a human. So it's imperfect. Um so that may be kind of the new norm for a little while. I'm not sure. I don't know what that's going to look like. Yeah, see stuff like this where people are not getting notified about lives. If you're a creator, my biggest suggestion to you is to push your own content at this point. It may seem kind of annoying, but some people genuinely may want to watch you, but they don't know that you're uploading because it's not in their subscription feed. So you could always tell people to hit the bell for notifications to see if that will help. But that's the reason why I think that people's numbers have been jumping or dropping. Yes, and that's the reason why I'm so behind on captions right now, is because auto captions take so long to upload. And then on top of that, the system is just like, I think Tammy said it, it's been really, really weird. And it's been a pain in the butt trying to caption videos, which is why I'm like so, and I used to be on top of it, but I'm so far behind now. It's so bad. I don't know what YouTube is doing. Oh, I'm not sure. I just know that they go through these updates and stuff, and it seems to mess things up more often than not. Yeah, you don't see a notification. Sometimes I don't see stuff in I don't see content in my sub box sometimes. And I notice that when I like go through and I'm looking at the days, like the uploads that happen that day, and I'm subscribed to over 500 people in the community. And what's crazy is that I can go through a day and only see a handful of videos. And to me, it just feels off. I'm like, there's no way that this is all the content that's there for today. Um, so yeah, it's strange. Don't feel weird, Bree. Like, don't feel weird pushing your own. I don't think it's weird to push your own content. I think you have to, at some point, you do have to self promote. It's the nature of the beast. I think I especially in situations like this where we're not always getting notifications. Yeah, I have to do the same thing with Tammy too. So Tammy, I'm not sure. Like, I have to go to your channel to see your videos. Your loads are not. Um, your new uploads are not always in my sub box. So there's a couple of people that I know for a fact like their stuff is not always in my sub box. And then there's some people I see all of their stuff. So it's all over the place. It's so weird. It's very, very weird. But anyway, um, let's talk about subscription numbers and view count numbers outside of YouTube having their issues. What do y'all feel about, as if you're a creator, or you can even comment if you're a viewer? How do you feel about um, your numbers? Do you feel pressured to reach certain numbers? Do you feel like your channel isn't valued if you don't get an X amount of views? Do you feel like um, it's unfair sometimes? Um, I want to get a perspective because I have some thoughts about numbers and views and how we kind of look at that in our community and what we place value on, because I think I have maybe a little bit of a different perspective. So feel free to answer or not answer. I can just talk on a tangent as always. And I always say I do good on silences. Okay, so first comment, Tammy. I feel like some days I care and then some days um I'm like, meh. Okay. I think that's definitely a valid feeling. It's a views for me if I work hard on a video but it doesn't perform well, that's rough. Yes. Yes. Okay. Try to support smaller channels. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. So let's talk about this a little bit. Let's talk about this algorithm. Um we're gonna talk a little bit about this algorithm. So, the algorithm is a tricky thing in the YouTube community, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my views out here. So, I'm gonna let y'all know how I feel about this. All right. Um, I do not place the worth of a channel on their subscription numbers or their subscriber numbers or the amount of views. Um, that they get, because, and I'm keeping it as transparent as possible, there are small channels out there that put out better content than some that have big channels. Okay. And that's just how I feel personally. I think that just because you have a large following does not always mean that your content um let me reword that. Just because you don't have a large following does not mean that your content isn't good. YouTube, in my opinion, is a stroke of luck. Okay. you got to understand that this is all about an algorithm, which is artificial intelligence. I have had moments on my own channel where, like last month, October, I had videos that were hitting over 5,000 views, which is over and above for my channel. Okay. And then this month, I have videos that maybe only be getting 1,500 views or whatever the case may be. And that's because that's the algorithm at play. YouTube picks and chooses what videos it wants to push forward. It's not necessarily all about content. It can be strongly about what's being pushed and what's being suggested. The more, like, for example, like in October, the reason why those videos did so well is because YouTube was pushing those videos out to people who weren't subscribed to my channel more than the videos that I've been posting this month. And I think that what ends up happening sometimes is that people feel like if they're not getting the views, that means that their content is not good, which is why I'm very adamant personally about watching channels of all size, because I feel like there are people out there that have good content no matter the size of their channel. I also think that you have to decide, what does booktube mean to you? Because if this is a hobby, if this is for fun, what are you seeking to get in return? And I know a lot of people look at those channels, as myself, that are monetized or whatever the case may be. Y'all, we do not make money like that. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, okay? I'm telling you as a grown person, all right? As a person that has a child, as a person that pays bills, as a person that's completely independent. YouTube money that you make in the booktube community is play money. It's not going to make or break anything for anybody. And that's the God honest truth. Nobody is bringing in enough money to pay bills. So I don't know if it's realistic for people to feel like, um, I don't know if it's realistic for people to feel like booktube can be a legitimate job. Because at the end of the day, realistically, our community in itself is very, very niche. It's very, very niche. Having the amount of subscribers that we have in our community is nothing compared to the YouTube community at large. And I think that we have to start having these conversations, which a lot of people have. Like, I know Bethany has had that conversation. Um, I think Jen has had that conversation. Um, there's a couple people who have had this conversation about the realness of being in the booktube community. And I think that when you define what your expectations and what your goals are for your booktube community or for your booktube channel, it puts things into perspective and it helps kind of deal with the disappointments. Is it disheartening to work very, very hard on a video and it not get viewed? Yes. Yes, it is. It is super disheartening because you feel like you put your heart and your soul into it. But at the same time, what are you chasing to do? Like, what is your aim? What is your goal? Are you challenging yourself? Are you comparing yourself to other channels? Because it's easy to go to someone else's channel who has around the same amount of subscribers and be like, well, why are people watching their videos more? Why are they getting more views and we have almost the same amount of subscribers? Because it's an algorithm. And honestly, I just want people to not feel like it's them, it's you. Because it's not you that's the problem. You're working against artificial intelligence. I mean, how much um how much can you really battle something like that? In my opinion, I feel like it's a hit or miss. And part of it is luck. Part of it is luck. And I really wish that people would say and be honest and transparent and say a big part of it is luck. It is. You can make the best content in the world, and if the algorithm doesn't pick up on you, or if YouTube doesn't push your content, it's going to be harder. And I'm saying this as someone who's had that experience, y'all. I started BookTube in 2014. As of this year, 2020, I had only made 3,000 subscribers. The only reason why, and I'm going to get to that in a second, because what happened this summer plays a big part in why some people feel like their channels are not performing, but I will hop to that. I was only at 3,000 subscriptions in May of this year, okay? Maybe 3,500 at most. I've been on YouTube since 2014. 2014. And at that point, I was content because I felt as though this was a passion hobby for me. It was never going to be a job. This is never going to be a job because what YouTube gives me in terms of money ain't nothing compared to what I make at my real job. Okay, it ain't going to support me. What I make on YouTube can't even really pay for daycare. So like, that's me being completely and 100% transparent. It ain't gonna pay. What I pay in daycare is like another mortgage payment. Okay, so YouTube can't even help with that. Um, but I'm I'm just saying that you got to that is a reality that luck does play a part into it. And some people are lucky to get big like that. I think some people are lucky to get big like that. Don't. You can start a channel and don't get caught up in the numbers and the algorithms and it's like because my thing about it is that it's natural and it's human. I'm not saying that anybody is wrong for feeling that way because like I said, if you make really good content or you do this creative project and no one watches it, of course you're going to feel some type of way about it. But that's why I said you've got to figure out and define what do you want your YouTube channel to be about? What do you want your YouTube channel to stand for? Is this about making connections and sharing your passion for reading? Or are you trying to make this into a career or a side hustle. I don't know because to me that's when the numbers really are truly important. If this was a career or a side hustle and this was a business, that's when the numbers are really that's when you really have to start stressing over numbers. But I think it's finding that balance of saying like, oh yeah, this is disappointing, but I'm not gonna let it deter me from continuing to make content. It doesn't make me lesser of a creator. It doesn't mean that my content isn't good. It doesn't mean that I'm not a good because at the end of the day, I keep wondering like, what does it mean to be a good booktuber? What does that mean? Who first of all, who creates that definition and how do we define it? Because I think that everybody brings something different to the table. So there is no universal definition for what a good YouTuber is and a good booktuber is. And I feel like we keep using numbers as a way to define the validity of our channels. And that's not healthy. And I don't think that's good because I follow people and watch people, although I always say, y'all don't know I'm watching because I'm horrible about commenting. Um, but I watch people who have 300, 400 subscribers, and I can be more inclined to watch that content than someone who has 50 and 60,000 subscribers because I'm like, I'm not jiving with your content, Sorry, y'all. Y'all know I get long-winded. I hold on. I gotta catch up on the comments. Y'all know I love to talk. Yeah, and I I get it. I get it. I really do get it. And I'm saying that I get it because I've been there. I'm not saying that just to say it. I get it because I've been there. I've been in that position. I know how that feels. But what are you basing your value of yourself on? Are you basing your value on the amount of views that you're getting or just the fact that you're sharing it? Because no matter what, somebody out there enjoys your content. Somebody out there watches it and somebody enjoys it. And that's why I feel like me, and this is me speaking. I'm not saying anybody else's feelings are invalid. But for me, to complain about my numbers for me feels like I'm negating and sidestepping all of the people who do watch my content. So if I have a video that gets 5,000 views and then I get another video that only gets, I don't know, like I have a middle grade video that only got 800 views and it didn't bother me because I knew that that video was out there for somebody needed that video and it didn't do as well by YouTube standards. It didn't do as well as every other video, but that didn't mean that the content wasn't good. It just means that hey, this wasn't for everybody and that's okay. Um i I don't it's interesting, but I really, really do feel that. I feel that. And people do love hauls. It is the consumerism side of YouTube. And the thing about it though is that it seems like we cannot have expectation about consumerism in our community without people getting pissed off. So I'm going to leave that conversation alone because I feel like there should be a constructive conversation about consumerism. And no, you can't tell people what to do with their money, but I think there's also a way to acknowledge how what you do in a certain bracket of subscriber count, how that does influence, because you call yourself an influencer. These publishing companies consider you to be an influencer. And that's what it's all about. That's why they like booktubers and why they like Instagram, because it's very visual. It's the same thing as somebody running an ad for those products that you see. Call 1-800 da 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 and get it for 14.95 today. That's what it's about. We are influencers. Um, and although we're not forcing anybody to do anything, we do have an ability to influence people to do certain things. But like I said, we can't have that conversation constructively without people getting pissed. So I'm going to leave that alone. And that's the God honest truth. Exactly. Exactly. I feel that energy. I feel that energy because I am thankful for every single person that watches my videos and comments, because you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it at all. And it's like, if I have a video where only a handful of people watch it, those I'm grateful for those people that want to listen to me put my thoughts out into the void. So for me, it's not about views. And the key to that is this is very interesting. So views on the back end are not as important as watch time to me personally when I start looking at data and monetization. Watch time is the key, because watch time gets you more money. You can have a shorter video that gets 5,000 views, but at the end of the day, your watch time probably is not going to be as high, because no matter what, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain if you're not on the creator end, because I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. So usually when you go into the creative side, like YouTube will tell you what your average watch time is. And basically what they do is they look at all the views and they average the time together. Um, and tell you, like, this is the average amount of time that people are watching your video, and then this is when they drop off. And what's interesting about that is that the longer the video, the higher your watch time is. And watch time is the name of the game, because your watch time is how people get monetized. It has nothing to do with the amount of views that you get. So for me, to answer your question, it doesn't matter really. Like, I don't get it's about the equal amount, um, for shorter or longer. It more so is about content, because I can have a video that's 30 minutes and get in between 3 to 5,000 views on it. I can have a video that's 15 minutes and only get 1,000 views on it, or it could be vice versa. So it there for me, I'm not so much concerned about views. For me, it's like, how long are we retaining that watch time type of situation. I hope that answers your question, because that kind of went around in a circle. Yeah, I mean, like, that's why I started BookTube. It's a passion project. Like, even now, um, I mean, it depends on what you even count as a side hustle. How much money do you have to make in order for it to be a side hustle? Because like I said, if I compare my salary to what I make on YouTube, like, we nickel and diamond. Like, I'm not making a lot of money. It's not sustaining anything. So you have to decide. Yeah, see, and that's what kept me going. Is even if I felt discouraged about it, it's the love of talking about books and making videos and meeting other people that keeps it going. Sorry, y'all. I'm so behind. I'm so behind on comments. I'm catching up, catching up. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure at all. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, when I first started, y'all, I was filming on like the cheapest camera in the world. I remember having to like use my headphones for audio because something was like I mean, I used to be real ratch with it, but I loved it. But I loved it. I don't even want to. I don't even want to talk about it because people don't want to. Because people don't want to talk about it. Because I want to talk about it, but then I don't want to talk about it because people get in their feelings about it, and it's like, let's just have a conversation. See, I have a Patreon account, and I won't say that better content is on Patreon. I just make some things exclusive to Patreon, meaning that things that you typically would not get on my channel is what you would get on Patreon, which would be like exclusive recommendations, bonus videos, etc. Like that's what my Patreon is. I don't ever want to take away what people have already been watching and seeing um already. Not Darcy, you just said it wouldn't be me if I didn't get long-winded. Woo, woo. No, Britt, I want to talk about it. Y'all, this is not the topic for the week. This is not the topic. Rachel, you need to continue. You need to continue no matter what. And for me, because I feel like you bring such unique content to the community. And so many people do, y'all. So many people who are not necessarily monetized that don't have a lot of subscribers. Like, y'all, your channels are banging. Your channels are good. And maybe I need to I need to come and start commenting more because I've been trash. I've been trash about that. Oh, don't cry, Rachel. Yeah, yeah. Once you become so obsessed with the numbers, let me tell you something. The added stress is not worth it. Y'all, you've and Bree is so much better at having these conversations about self-care and stuff like that because Bree constantly reminds me to practice self-care. Bree will text me and be like, "Are you practicing self-care? Have you practiced self-care this week? Have you practiced self-care?" Which is a great reminder because why make this into a stressful job that you're not getting paid for? Have fun, enjoy it. Things don't always have to be perfect. Don't compare yourself to everyone else. Like, don't do that. I think that's probably one of the most difficult things because it's human nature to do it. It's human nature, and I've done it too. I'm gonna be 100%. I'm always transparent with y'all. I'm always gonna be 100 about it. I've done it too, where I'm like, dang, like why are my numbers looking so slack compared to this person's numbers, and we like neck and neck when it comes to like sub count. Or I've seen people who have a lower amount of like we're talking like 10,000 less subscribers than me, and their views are bomb. But it's you have to be the best version of you. You can't be anybody else. And I know that sounds cliche, but you really can't be anybody else. You can't. You cannot be anybody else in this community but yourself. And you've got to stop trying to be other people. Because when you start trying to be like other people, you lose your uniqueness and then you start pushing out the same content as everybody else. And that's what drives viewers away. I ask questions over on Twitter. And I know people are probably like, why is Ashley asking these random ass questions? I ask those questions a lot of times because I like to see how other people are thinking in terms of like what content they're viewing, what makes them stay, what makes them leave. because a lot of viewers get tired of seeing us as creators talk about the same things over and over and over and over and over again. And it's because people look at videos that are doing very, very well for other content creators, and then they'll make those same videos hoping that it'll do the same. And then when it doesn't do the same, you get disappointed. Well, you got this so many other so much other crap to factor into that. You gotta do your own thing. I'm not saying that you can't do like tag videos like everybody else. Sorry, y'all, I got hair on my tongue. Um, or you can't do, like a lot of us have done, like, oh, reading one-star reviews of like, but do it because you want to do it. Do it because it's something that you're interested in doing. Don't do it because it's like, oh, I see someone who has 300 subscribers doing this, and I think, it did really well. So I think it's going to give me a boost, because you're setting yourself up for disappointment, because you don't know how the algorithm is going to push you. You don't know if people are exhausted of seeing those videos. You you don't do things because you think that it's the thing to do in the moment. Do it because you want to do it. Catching up on comments. Yeah, yeah. Y'all, listen, y'all need to go back and watch my old videos, okay? Child, listen. It comes with time. It comes with time, and it comes with practice. People don't realize how hard it is. It's easy to look at it from the outside in, but a lot of people, A, do not realize how hard it is to sit in front of a camera and talk to a camera and there's no one there. Like, that is a skill that a lot of us have learned and have gained. It's not easy to do, because I see people who are not within this community, just, in other things, especially like in the library world now, where everything is digital, and people having to sit in front of a camera and do digital services. And they're like, I can't do this. It is not easy to do that. So, A, give yourself credit for something that most people don't do and can't do. And you really have to understand that time and practice. Watching someone who's been in this game for like 5 years is not the way to compare yourself, because they've had 5 years more practice of doing this than you have. And there are some people who are just natural at it. That's just their talent. And it is hard. And I agree with you, Cassandra. It is hard, because your human nature is to compare yourself to someone. Your human nature is to want to be perfect, but you have to be the best you that you can be, not the best you that you could be while trying to compete with X, Y, and Z, because that's not being your authentic self. And one thing that I've learned in my real personal life and on this, platform in the Booktube community, is that you have to be okay being your authentic self. And you have to use your space and make that space about you being your authentic self, and not with what who is doing this and this person's doing that and this person's doing that. Like, it's hard, don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying that this is something that anybody can do overnight, because I still struggle with it. I still struggle with it. I really do. As much as I'm up here preaching or saying this and saying that, don't worry, because I'm going to be true with you. There are some days that I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? I don't know why I'm doing this. Um, so it's not easy. It's not easy, y'all. It's not easy, but you gotta get there. You gotta get there. Yeah, Bethany, it does get tricky. It does get tricky. But I also feel like the expectations, and the pressure gets a little tougher the bigger you get. And there's a lot more stuff that's added with added numbers. Um, that I don't think we don't always talk about. Okay, catching up on comments again. Wait, 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 wait. Hold on. No, what I'm saying is that doing the same videos as other doesn't mean that it's bad, but you shouldn't create an expectation that doing the same video as others is going to mean that you're going to get the same response as other people. I have videos that I do that are the same as everybody else's. I have my filler content just like everybody else. Because honestly, when you're posting 2, 3 times a week and you work a full-time job and you have a personal life outside of this, you need filler content. I don't care what anybody says, and I will go down. I will go down. I will go down with that thought because it is a lot more difficult to balance when it comes to filming, editing, and uploading and engaging. It is a lot. So I understand filler content, or I understand doing the same videos as other people. What I mean by that is don't do the same video and expect the same response. If you get the same response, awesome. If you don't feel like you're not as good. And that's what ends up happening is that people do the same videos. And when their response is not as good as someone else's, it starts to create this level of self doubt. It starts to create this conversation of, well, my channel isn't good enough. So when you are doing the same videos as other people, do it because you want to do it, not because you want to do it because you think it's what's going to make you successful or it's going to make you a big hit. Like content that you do for yourself because it's like, hey, I'm going to enjoy making this video. If it doesn't do as well, it's not going to hurt you as much if you're not doing it in comparison to someone else. I hope that makes sense. Because I'm not saying that you can't make the same videos as someone else because we all do, because filler content is natural. Um, I think it is a huge process of it's a huge part of the creative process. Um, no, no, there's not. I don't. Well, this is coming from me. I don't feel I don't feel the pressure to be less critical. Because for me, if I accept an arc, my policy is like you're going to get my full authentic thoughts, um, regardless. Like, and to be honest with you, it, it's a little bit. We go down another rabbit hole. It's a little bit more tricky when it comes to sponsorships because no one outright, and I have been sponsored, no one outright tells you that you have to positively promote, but that's where things get a little sticky because it's like they're paying you to promote this thing. What if you don't like this thing? Which is why I have turned down certain sponsorships because I was like, I'm not going to like it. So there's no point in me taking on a sponsorship where I know it's just not I'm not going to like the product or I'm not going to like the book. Um so for me personally, and I cannot speak for anybody else but me, I don't feel like there's pressure to be less critical. But you know just as well as I do, you and I talk on Twitter, um, and you see the same things kind of that I see. I kind of feel like we kind of are in the same headspace about a lot of things. I think that the community overall has an interesting perspective of critical reading and reading for fun. I won't get into that either because people like to get in their feelings about that. But that's the truth too. That is a huge thing. That is a huge thing in the community. I value um, coming hard with my reviews. I'm very big about discussing books a whole lot, but that's me. That's my profession. That's what I do. It's secondhand nature, but everybody doesn't feel that way. So you know, I think you know exactly what I mean. I think you know what I mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We could do a chat about sponsorships and consumerism because I can speak on that. Um, I can speak on that now, having been sponsored and continuing to be sponsored by certain things. Um, and it's a very interesting side of the booktube. And sometimes I wonder if people want to get big with numbers and stuff like that because they feel like that's they want the opportunity to know what it's like to work. with a partnership where you're sponsored, or they want to know what it's like to receive um free books. And sometimes it's enjoyable, and I'm once again, like I always tell y'all, I'm being transparent. Um I'm being 100% transparent with y'all. Sometimes it's fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's like I don't want to deal with the shit. it, it depends. It really, really depends. And those are very, very tricky conversations to have, because we need to have critical conversations about that and constructive conversations about that without everybody being like, well, you can't tell me what to do with this, and you can't tell me. And it's like, that's not productive. It's not helpful to the community, and it's not productive at all. Shane, yeah, I don't even know what the nail color is. I don't know what it is at all. Sorry, y'all. Y'all are commenting so much. Yeah, 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 yeah. The algorithm is not there to help you. It's there to help you when it wants to help you. But you shouldn't determine your wealth over no damn algorithm, I tell you that much. Because your channel is worth a lot more than an algorithm. But let's talk about something else, because I have some feelings about something else that also has been happening. So we all know, I'm going to use myself as an example, with the murder of George Floyd. My eye, something wrong with my eyeball. I don't know what's wrong with my eyeball. It's itching. There was a huge jump, okay? A very huge jump in the number of subscribers that Black people in the community were seeing. Okay. For me personally, when let me think, May, I probably was at a little over 3,500 subscribers. By the time we hit was this month, November, I am a little bit over 17.3. So we're talking in a matter of what, how many months? May, June, July, August, September, October, November. In a matter of 6 months, I jumped over 14,000 subscribers in 6 months. Here's my problem with that. And I'm talking about me, which is so crazy. When I made my video explaining about how trash the book community had been to Black creators since 2014, and I stand by that. I still stand by that. And I stand by it now. And I'm got a couple of things to say about that as well. When I made my video, I told people, if you're not going to watch my content, do not do not subscribe to my channel, because I ain't got time for the bullshit. I don't need your subscriptions, because people were subscribing because they wanted to make themselves. And there's people who are still subscribed to my channel now who I know for a fact don't watch my shit. And it bothers me, because the thing about it is that I told you, if you didn't like my content, I'm not here to provide you with absolution. I'm not here to make you feel bad. I mean, I'm not here to make you feel better. I'm not here to make you feel like, oh, well, now um, I'm subscribed to Black creators, and now I'm doing my part in the social justice movement. No, no. Because now what's happening, and I will say this for all creators that are Black right now, a lot of our channels are fucked up because of the performative activism that the booktube community has done as a whole. Okay. So I don't expect my numbers ever to really match what my sub count looks like. So when my videos did well in October, I was actually surprised at how well my videos did in October. I was like, damn. I said, this is crazy. I said, the algorithm must be working in my favor this month, because I know half of y'all in my sub count ain't watching my shit. You're subscribed because you felt bad about stuff that happened. You felt bad about the way that Black creators were treated. And now that everything has gotten quiet about Black Lives Mattering, guess what? Now y'all still don't want to watch people's content that is Black. And performative activism happened on both sides, Black and white people. So let's be real about it, okay? People had this whole situation work to their advantage and still ain't doing the right thing. And y'all know exactly what I mean. I ain't even gonna get into details about that one. I'm trying not to get Not to get too hood. But my thing about it is that I told y'all in that video that 6 months later, y'all was gonna be back on your bullshit. Did I lie? Did I lie? No, I didn't lie. I said it in the video. I said 6 months later, y'all are gonna be back on your bullshit. And guess what? Who's not surprised? Who is not surprised? Who is not surprised that the same things that were happening when I made that video in June, 6 months later, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And that's the reason why when I say numbers and stuff like that, especially for Black creators, so for those of y'all that are in the chat that are Black, I'm telling y'all, stop using your numbers to define whether your content is good or not because you're already working at a disadvantage. I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak to Black creators and I can speak as an experience as a Black creator in this community for the past 6 years. You're already working at a disadvantage because the thing about it is that I have said this, as I said last week when we met and we talked about Booktube expectations. Okay. Who's Alexander? Bull, you got to go. Bye, 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 bye. I ain't got time for that. Not today. Not today. I don't know. I don't know whether Alex was joking or not, but Alex went bye bye because I ain't got time for that today. I don't because I'll straight curse somebody out on live. See, y'all don't usually see this side of me because I try to keep it by white terms. I keep it professional. Um, Child, listen, y'all got the wrong one. Y'all got the. I'm ready. I've been ready to curse somebody out. Um, my thing about it is that you can't you can't hold your worth. Um, you can't hold your worth to the standards of a community that never will work in your favor. Okay. I don't really believe that Black creators, and I know somebody asked you, I feel like it's the same for POC. I can't speak to that because I don't identify as anything else except Black. So I don't know. I can't speak to other creators that don't identify as Black. I can't speak on that, and I don't feel comfortable speaking on that because I can't speak to anybody else's experiences. But I can say, as a Black creator, we've always worked at a disadvantage from 2014 on. The highest number that we have in a Black booktuber is a little over 80,000, and that's Naya. Okay. Like, I was talking to my parents about this. Like, the cap, the ceiling for us is already lower. It's already lower. So my thing about it is that we knew from the get-go, at least when I said in that video, people were going to subscribe and then go back to not watching content. So Black creators are being hurt. Black creators were hurt in the process. They were hurt because of the fact that people wanted it to be a moment in which they could feel better about not doing their part in giving everyone equal opportunity in terms of watching and viewing. And then now that 6 months down the road, and it seems like, and it's crazy because the Black Lives Matter movement hasn't gone away. This whole conversation about Black bodies and the importance of protecting Black bodies has not gone away. But because it's not what's hopping right now, nobody wants to have those conversations. I have seen people who have screamed and hollered Black books, and this is Black and white creators. Don't worry, because just because you Black don't make you exempt, baby. It don't make you exempt. It don't make you exempt. And they feeling the same pain that the rest of us are feeling. The same pain that the rest of us are feeling. I have seen people say, you need to read Black book. And this is everybody across the board. Black books, Black book. 6 months later, what are you reading? What are you reading? It's so I'm telling you, as one Black creator to another, do not place your worth on your numbers because you are working at a disadvantage already. It does not mean that you're not a good content creator. It does not mean that you're not putting valuable stuff out. It means that you have some people, both black and white, and I said it and I will say it again. If you want to check me, y'all know how to find my DMs, okay? Black and white, okay, are participating in performative allyship or did participate in performative allyship. And in doing so, we all paid the price for it. We all paid the price. So that's why for me, I, as a Black content creator, can't be concerned about numbers like everybody else. I can't, because my numbers will never match. I'm not white. I'm not thin. I don't have straight hair. I'm not, first of all, I'm not stereotypically um, visually for a video based environment. I um, I'm not standardly beautiful, which is crazy. It's crazy, but it's the truth. It is the truth. Like, people don't look at me the same way that they would look at a white woman with straight hair, fair eyes, fair skin. I'm not the aesthetic. And honestly, at this point, I don't want to be your fucking aesthetic. I hate that word, by the way. Like, I hate this whole wave about, oh, that's my aesthetic. I'm like, you know what? Y'all gotta find a better fucking word than that. Like, just don't like. I hate that word. I hate that word because aesthetics comes very close sometimes to fucking fetish. How do y'all say the word? To making someone a fetish, because I couldn't say the other word. Oh, goodness gracious. Not y'all have me getting hot because it's really been on my spirit, y'all. Um it's really been on my it's been on my spirit. It's been on my spirit. So, this is it's tricky. It's tricky though because it what we don't talk about in our community a lot of times is bias and unconscious bias or implicit bias, meaning that everyone has biases. Everyone. I don't care what you identify as, sexually, gender, your race, your ethnicity, your nationality. It doesn't matter. Everyone has biases because it's human nature. The problem with not being able to have conversations about bias, not identifying your biases, is that which you think may be a norm in watching is really your biases at play. Sometimes you actively have got to engage with other people. You've got to go out of your way. And it's the same thing that I have an issue with the publishing industry. Oh, it's tough for them to find Black people and da 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 bullshit. I know that they're underpaid. I know that they work hard, but listen, baby, listen, at the end of the day, you gotta hunt and you gotta search for people because your buy is easy. It's easy. It's so easy to find someone that looks like you. It's so easy to find someone that's white as opposed to Black. You've got to hunt. If you really want to change situations, you really want to lift up Black creators, you've got to find those Black creators. You've got to look for those Black creators. And a lot of times I feel like people just don't give a damn. Like I said in that video, y'all don't care. I would be more happy saying for someone to be 100% honest and say, I'm not there in my personal journey yet. I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm not there in my personal journey. And I would respect that more. Oh, the scratching your head. Yeah, that's when I'm ready to throw. That's when I do that a lot. When I get, and I'm like that at work too. When I get pissed off, I'm quick to scratch my head and keep a straight face. Everybody, Black and white people, both Black and white, Black and white. Yeah, so basically it was a lot of performative activism because people felt like it was the time to bandwagon and lift Black creators up. And that's why in my video, which I have taken off of my channel, by the way, it's not off my channel, but I privated it because work. Like, I cursed a lot. I cursed a lot in that video, and I was like, let me just, I'm just gonna let it. I'm have to private that one. I did a little too much. I didn't do too much, but I think that um, because of some other things, we're not going to get into that. But I think that it wasn't perceived as faux allyship at first. That's what's so tricky about it. It wasn't that first. It wasn't at that point yet. It was everyone saying we need to uplift Black creators. And then with my video, I had been saying, like, don't subscribe to me because y'all been on the same bullshit for the past 6 years. Let me tell y'all something. And this is kind of off topic, but it's the God honest truth, okay? Like, you can't change your personal biases, your prejudices, your racism, whatever. It doesn't change in 6 months. It doesn't change that quickly. It doesn't. And we are the generation of instant gratification. And I think that people thought by watching a Black creator, hitting the subscribe button, and never engaging, never watching was the way to go because in that moment it made them feel justified until they felt like the conversations about Black Lives Mattering had come to a close. That conversation when you're Black never fucking ends. It never ends. That conversation never ends. And like I said, I know the people who subscribe. And no, no, Bethany, I was just about to say this. No, 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 no. It's not that. It's very obvious to me. Like it's very obvious. It's a very obvious situation. That doesn't. First of all, no, it doesn't make you a bad subscriber, Bethany. Bethany, you be at everybody's lives. You may not comment on videos, but you stay at lives though. Tell you that. All right, I know the comments done hopped. No, big. That. I don't even want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to touch that. I really don't want to touch that. I don't want to. I don't want to touch that. I don't. I don't. I don't at all. Rincey, Rincey, you probably don't even know this, but I've been watching you since forever. So nice to finally actually meet you. Not really meet you, but I've been watching you for a minute. Rincey's amazing, y'all. Like OG booktuber, by the way. Very, very great reviews. Very, very great reviews. If you're looking for great analysis of books, right there. Thank you, my dear. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. Do y'all feel like sprinting? Y'all feel like talking? What's up? What's it? What should we do? Yeah, we talk on Instagram so much. We talk on Instagram so much. No, 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 don't apologize. I just because I think that it's so cyclical. I think that we complain about publishing, but um we are influencers, and I think that until we force them to change the narrative, they're not going to change. And publishing is very difficult, I get it, but publishing is also, it's a business, it's money making. And by pushing things on our channels, by reviewing stuff, by adding things on Goodreads, they watch that stuff. All of that stuff is watched. It's not, none of it is unintentional. I'm telling y'all, watching videos, watching reviews on Goodreads, on Amazon, all of that stuff is stuff that they have their marketing department watch, okay? And for me, it's a means to an end to make money because it is a business. So when you want a business to change, or you're not happy with the way that businesses are run, you got to start saying, well, I'm not going to push this, or I think that um this needs to go to this group of people. Like, think about as many times as the booktube community has hopped on a book and said that this is not appropriate. I don't like this. I mean, booktubers, reviewers alike. How many books have we gotten pulled back where publishers like, oh no, we can't publish that. We got to pull that back. That's what I'm saying is that so for people not to say like, oh, I can't tell people what to do and what not to do. No, you can influence people. You have the ability to influence. And part of me as a booktuber for me is I want to continue to have these conversations about real life implications. Not just, I'm not saying I don't read for fun, but as I get older, a lot of what I want to do is look at things in the perspective of real life and how we change conversations about certain things, whether that's changing how publishing looks, changing, sex positivity in teen books, or having conversations about white nationalism or educating ourselves about XYZ, whatever the case may be. I think the conversation has to be a lot more nuanced than what we give it credit for because it's so easy to say, well, that's not my job and I don't do this and I don't do that and I don't force anybody to do this. But when you're in a position of power like this, you do. You really do. That's why they come to you and say, we'll pay you to do this because they know you can influence. And to deny the fact that you don't have influence, I think is a flaw within itself. And I think it doesn't give credit to the conversation that you should be giving credit to. Like it just, I wish we just had more nuance and more constructive conversations because of the fact that I think that we we um we ignore things that we shouldn't ignore, or we just kind of throw it to the wind because people are like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it because I do what I want to do. Good night, doll. Thank you for coming. Hold on. As I said, keep talking. Hey. Yeah, Neeks, this was supposed to be a chat and sprint, but every time we start chatting, we never sprint. Like we never we never sprint. We just keep talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. That is the truth. That is the truth. That is the truth. And we as a community have got to have these conversations. It's not a one-time conversation. And this is something that I do at work too. It has to be a continuous conversation. You don't have one conversation and then all of a sudden it just goes away. Like, because it doesn't. The disparities in numbers amongst Black booktubers versus white booktubers. And like I said, I would love to get some perspectives of other POC booktubers because I don't know necessarily like what goes on with their engagement necessarily. But it has to be a constant conversation, which kind of, like I said before, looping it back, I don't know if you should really ever, not, I don't know, you should never place the value of your channel on numbers and subscriptions. You shouldn't, because everybody's not starting off at the same point. Y'all ever seen that video where you where they try to explain privilege to people and it shows how like if we're on a racetrack people are starting off at different points. Booktube works in the same way and I don't give a damn who disagrees. Okay, it is like that. It's just like that. It is like that. I have seen white girls, no shade to anybody on here that's white, but let's call a spade a spade. I have seen white girls get on Booktube, and this used to just drive me crazy, and in 1 year their subscriptions would be out the ass. And it's like, damn, I've been hustling for like the past 4 or 5 years. And it's like, how does girl get on here and in 1 year all of a sudden her subscriptions have just blown out. And until you acknowledge that privilege, I'm not saying that you can't do what you do. I'm not saying that you can't move the way you want to move or that you stop doing your content. I mean, that's not it. That's not fair. But what I'm saying is you've got to acknowledge that. And hitting the subscribe button and calling yourself an ally ain't it. Which is why I keep saying and I stopped saying it because I'm so tired of explaining to people the same thing over and over and over again. It's like you could take a horse to the water, but you can't make that bitch drink. Okay? It's like Y'all say ally, 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 ally. I don't want an ally. I want an accomplice. I want somebody who's going to be in the trenches with me. All of this hitting subscribe button and, oh, I'm subscribed to you. I don't give a damn at the end of the day. Because what are you doing with me? Are you in the trenches with me? What are you doing to have conversations in this community? What are you doing that's constructive? Like nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I feel like everybody's afraid to have these conversations and they're just like, oh, well, I'm gonna get canceled. Bro, what? Do these people pay your bills or wipe your ass? No, they don't. Everybody worried about, oh, I'm gonna get canceled. I'm gonna get canceled. Like, come on, y'all. There's a difference between like telling somebody, like, listen, your behavior in this situation was not appropriate. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be. There's a difference between calling somebody out and people being afraid to speak their mind on things that need to change in this community because they're afraid of getting canceled. 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 No shade to anybody, but not a near person. Y'all don't pay. I promise y'all don't pay my bills. I promise you. The exorbitant, the large amount of bills that I have, ain't nobody in this community paying it. Ain't nobody wiping my ass. Ain't nobody changing my child's diapers. So what? Let's have the conversation. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Because the longer that we continue to not have these conversations and have clarity and be transparent in this community, I promise you, the same stuff that keeps happening is gonna be cyclical. People are always gonna question, well, why is my channel not doing well? People are always going to question, well, why is this person views higher than my views? People are always going to question, well, how are they getting a sponsorship? People are always going to question, well, how does consumerism really work? Or why I can't talk about consumerism because if I talk about consumerism, somebody's going to get offended. Like, there's a difference between attacking someone and having a conversation because it needs to be a constructive conversation. And I don't know how. I don't know how. I don't know how we finna do that. I don't know how we about to do that. No, listen, I'm like that too. I'm like that too. I watch a lot of people's videos, um, and people don't know I'm watching, which is why I try to engage as much as possible, even outside of my videos, because um, support where I can support, or whether that's a retweet or a shout or something, because I watch, but sometimes it's just I'm moving to where like I don't comment. So don't feel, no. I mean, if you're watching, you just something that you know within yourself. Sorry, y'all, catching up with comments. Yeah, hold on. Let me I agree. I agree, but conversations are the place to start because how can someone's heart change if they don't know? If you don't know, if you don't know, you can't do better. Which is where that saying comes, if you knew better, you do better. You have to you have to start with the conversations. But then yes, it does come up to someone wanting to change themselves because you can't change someone for them. They got to want to do it themselves. But I think conversations are a way to start because some people don't know. Some people genuinely don't know. And they may want to do better, but they may not know how. And I think that conversations like this are a place to start. Which y'all, I don't know how we got talking about how we got down this rabbit hole. But if you guys want to stick down this rabbit hole, I'm more than happy to do it. I'm more than happy to do it. We are not going to talk about this because this is really where it would hurt some people's feelings. Honey, baby, right there. Because that right there, that's it. I and I know you're gonna be like, no, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. Yeah, I agree. I definitely, Shane, I agree. I think that there needs to be more town halls, um, where things can get fleshed out and things and conversations can happen about this, or there be a means where people can have transparency about certain things and be honest about certain things, because at the end of the day it's like, what do we have to hide? Why continue? Because if we continue to, like I said before, nothing about this community is going to change if, we say as a community, oh, this is a problem. Okay, so what conversation can we have to fix this problem? We can talk about this, and we could talk about how Black romance is not really talked about. How about that? How about that? Because it's not. Because at the end of the day, if it ain't but five people, it ain't getting talked about. If it's five authors that make their rounds over and over and over again, and unless it's them five, they ain't getting talked about. And I just, and I that definitely would have to be a very interesting conversation, and probably I would have to pull some other people on board with that conversation, because I just started getting into it myself. Hold on, y'all, I gotta move in charge, so I'm gonna cut the camera out for a second. um I I myself am newer to the genre, so I can't give a full perspective, but there are people in this community that can give a better perspective of why, um, in Black romance, meaning between two Black people. Not, we can have that conversation too. Because people say Black romance, and they think if it has a Black character, that's Black romance, and it's not. But, mm, 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 mm. I I feel some type of way about that one. But yes. Yes, yes, yes. Um, I don't, and you know, part of having open conversations too is working in I statements, and having conversations where it's not about attacking or judging or whatever the case be. So I'm not here to judge you. I'm just going to speak from my perspective. The issue with Black Outlet, for book outlet for me, was that there was the insinuation that I did not have any friends that were Black, because besides Naya, and Naya has admitted that, because she is in a lot of ways racially ambiguous, um, that they were looking for family friendly um, vloggers, because they didn't like a lot of cursing and stuff like that. That was problematic for me because it fed a lot into, one, first of all, a lot of Black creators in the Booktube community are women. It perpetuated the stereotype that we're always angry, that we're not well behaved, that we curse, that we're not family friendly, that we're ghetto, we're ratchet. So for me personally, as a Black woman, I will never order from them again, because you just can't walk that comment back. Like, after you make a comment like that, and even though it wasn't said, and I always say about racism is that it's not overt. A lot of it comes from bias, and a lot of it comes from the person who was probably on the end of that, thought that that comment was okay to make, not realizing that by making that comment, you are perpetuating racist um, beliefs about one specific group. Now, does this mean that this company will never get it together? No. Does this mean that Ashley will support this company? 9 times out of 10, not, because I am at a stage in my life where, you know, having a company or having this or having that is really not worth more to me personally than how people like to perpetuate um, certain perspectives of me as a Black woman. And I go hard for Black women. I really do at this point, because the image and the ways that we are treated, not only just in the world, but in this community, is appalling. So I get it. I don't know necessarily what your ideas are, or what emotional things you went through when it comes to book outlet, but for me, like, I just can't. I have found other venues to order from, but for me, I just can't do it. I can't do that. And, and then their apology on top of that, I forgot that, their apology just made the situation worse for me. It just didn't help at all. And it wasn't genuine in my opinion. And they know, and what's so crazy about that is that Book Outlet could pull their vlogger thing and they're still making money because the reading community is so much bigger than just us in the booktube community. um but I just know that that's just something that I'm just not going to put on my channel and support at all. Catching up on comments. Y'all better hope that my knees don't start hurting sitting on this floor like I'm that old. Let me tell you why I am going to respectfully disagree with this comment. And I don't want you to take offense to it, but I'm going to give you my perspective of why I disagree with this comment to some degree. Um, I do think that part of it is practicing civility. However, racism is not just between two people, racism is institutional. Um, so until you dismantle the systems of racism, whether that's housing, whether that's access to healthcare, whether that's the prison pipeline system, whether that's the education system, it doesn't matter how nice people are to each other, because there are people who are nice to each other, and um, it still doesn't change anything. And that's the problem that I have, is that I think that people feel like if I'm nice to people, not saying that you shouldn't be nice to people, you should always be kind to someone, because you don't know other people. Not only do you not know other people's circumstances, but it's just a human thing to do. Like I just, not to be nasty to people, because first of all, I believe karma is a bitch and that will come back full circle. But outside of that, I do feel like sometimes if we carry this narrative that being nice fixes problems, is why people don't want to fight to dismantle systemic racism. And I think we get caught up in the niceties of the good bad binary. Like if I'm good to people and I'm nice to people, that's good enough. And it's not good enough. I'm not, that's why I kept saying in the video that I made that subscribing to my channel, being nice to me is not enough. It's not enough, because in my opinion, you have to actively want to tear down barriers for other groups in order really to get things done, which is the difference between someone who's an ally and someone who's an accomplice. An ally means like, yeah, like I'm not going to be racist, I'm going to be nice, but what are you doing to dismantle things? Are you actively working? Are you actively engaging? And I don't want anybody to get caught up in the niceties of being civil and thinking that that's the way to end racism. Because if that was the case, I mean, I think we'd be in a different position than we are right now. But because it has to do a lot with systems in place, um, it's just a different. I think it's a little different. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, and I think that people don't want to read about, okay, being transparent. I don't think people want to read about two black characters being in love. There, I said it. I believe it. I really do, because I see so many indie romance people get pushed. That's not black love, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at. I'm gonna leave it at that. No, 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 no. I think listen, hey, like here. Let me just listen. I want to, because I don't want you to feel like you're being, if you're a legitimate person. Now if you turn out to be, I mean, spam, like I don't know what to say about that. But I like First of all, keep it clean because I mean, nobody here in these conversations should be attacking each other. Like, it's not about that. This is exactly the reason why I said that I don't think we're at a point in our community where we can have these conversations because there's a way to disagree with someone and back up your claims and it not get nasty or it not get confrontation because it doesn't have to get confrontational. I think that, like I just explained, being nice is not the answer to ending racism because it is systemic. It's not just about being nice and not using racial because most people don't use racial slurs anymore because society does not believe that it is acceptable to use racial slurs. So what do people do? They use systems to continue systemic racism. Okay, so I mean, like, that's just fact. That's just fact. Now, if you want to have a mature conversation about it, we can have a mature conversation about it. But if it's here to be petty, we will block your ass and you can go. And that's the simplest 1, 2, 3. I'm not here to block anybody that has opposing viewpoints because I don't believe in that either. I don't believe that you should have a conversation where everybody sits at the table and they agree because then nothing happens or nothing gets done. But I do believe that if you're going to be here and you're going to oppose or you have differing perspectives, then you need to come in a way that is respectful to everybody. And we're not here to do. I tried. I tried. Didn't hear anything that I just said. Didn't hear nothing I just said. Went through one ear and out the other fucking ear. Out the ear. Out the ear. I ain't got time for that, y'all. I ain't got time for that. I don't got time. I ain't got time for that. I don't got time for that. If we gonna have a conversation and we have a conversation, have a conversation. But don't come in here because although I don't believe that other racial groups can be racist, you could be prejudiced as well. So like don't get that shit twisted. Because I call a black person the same way I call a white person. I did try. I tried, y'all. I tried. I tried. I really did try. I really did try. But don't get that shit twisted. Don't get that shit twisted, man. I think we so nice in this black community. Listen, I like y'all don't know me in real life. Y'all don't know me in real life. Y'all don't, that's why I said I never want to get into conversation with somebody in the book community at all because shit will get ugly. Shit get real ugly. Sorry. Now I'm catching back up on because I saw Deidre. I saw you say, "Do I need to block sugar at this point?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean block sugar?" And then I was like, because what you're not gonna do is sit here and I mean, you could be prejudiced, right? Like shit. You listen. I'm not getting paid for this shit. I ain't got to deal with nothing because I ain't get paid for it. Tammy, oh no, you said Jinx first, so I guess I owe you a drink or a Coke or something if we ever meet in person, after this pandemic nonsense. Okay, so let me go back. Yeah. I appreciate Black romances a lot. I just don't think they get pushed enough unless they're by certain people. But let me not do that because, like I said, I'm offend some people by saying that, and I ain't trying to. I ain't trying to do that. So y'all, okay, okay, yeah. I want to read Cass, Josh, um, because I know that they do that. Yes, I actually have I have a list on um an Amazon list, which I will share. There's a couple more I wanted to add, and then I'll make the list public. Good night, Darcy. One day we'll meet in person. One day we will meet in person. Save my soul. Um, I think that a lot of times, I mean, this can be applicable to any genre, but I think that there was a very important conversation that happened on Twitter and Instagram, which I'm not going to say the names of the people involved because I didn't ask the permission to share. But I just saw an interesting conflict where someone was upset because um, they were asking to share Black love, and the individual shared um, a book that wasn't Black love, and I think that people who are not Black have this misunderstanding of what Black love means. Um, Two Black characters, that's a Black romance, like not one character being Black. And it's very interesting because I know that there are both creators on Instagram, Twitter, and blogging who read Black romance. I mean, all the time. And I don't feel like it gets enough love at all. And I stand by what I said before is that a lot of times I feel like people don't want to read about Black people being in love. And that's so disheartening because Neeks, if you're still here, I know Neeks and I were having this conversation just about interracial relationships and stuff. And you have got to understand how powerful it is for Black people to see Black love, especially when, and I'm not knocking, because I'm going to preface this by saying that I'm not knocking any other relationship that's outside of Black love. But historically, the Black family unit has gone through so much um, from the time of slavery, from the time of when y'all had a president who was dealing drugs. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about how there was a president. Because they always want to jump on people, and people talk about, oh, because I gotta say this, People talk about, oh, Trump is so much like Reagan. Well, let's talk about how Reagan had drugs in the Black community, y'all, and had his wife on national TV talking about just say no. Okay? Had the CIA and the motherfucking president introducing crack cocaine into the Black community. That shit still blows my mind. Blows my mind. But when you know your history, you wake the fuck up and you know. So when you talk about slavery, when you talk about the crack epidemic, when you talk about mass incarceration, okay, it is very unlikely that we are able to see Black people in love, okay? Black women outnumber Black men. Black women are attaining their education at higher and faster rates than Black men. And I know for a lot of Black women, we hold out and we hope for Black love. We really do, which is why now there's a push to tell, here goes the motherfucking trolls. Um, it's, we hold out, and now um there's push now for Black women to start dating outside of their race. And I admire Black love. I appreciate Black love. And I don't know that people who are not Black truly understand that, and how conflicting and difficult it is for people who have sought to date outside of their race that are Black women specifically. I don't even want to talk about Black men because um, it's hard. It is very hard. Y'all, please calm down in the comments before I just start ticking people out. Like before I just start, like just chill out, cool out, cool out, cool out, cool out, like chill out. It ain't really that serious at all. Like calm down. Calm down. It really is not that serious. What is a disagreement about? About the difference between racism and prejudice? I mean, we could humbly disagree, but at the end of the day, Black people can't be racist. Racism is about it's structural. It's the ability to control an entire group, and I've studied it as well. So, um, but let me just. But y'all keep it respectful at the end of the day. If you're gonna disagree, disagree, but do so respectively. Like we're not about to have conversations and then people get in. Like have a constructive conversation. Have a constructive conversation. Anyway, back to what I was saying before. I think that people don't understand how important it is, especially for Black women, um, Black romance, how important that is. Um, and not just, because I just want to read romance with Black characters. There's a lot more that goes into that. It's a much more nuanced conversation. And it's very, as a Black woman, I feel like it's difficult. Like, I'm damn near 30 years old and I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm not saying that because I don't know, and I don't necessarily feel like that's in my control. Um, I I just feel like Black romance doesn't sell um, between two Black characters, and that's why you find that even a lot of Black people who write romance books, I mean, outside of like Bev, I mean, this just not mainstream, and it's so unfortunate because it's like, what does that say about how the publishing industry views Black love? Are our stories not worth telling? Are our stories only valuable when you see us in an interracial relationship? And that's not saying I don't want this to be a conversation where it's like, oh, well, that means you don't appreciate interracial relationships. Love who you want to love, baby. I don't care who you love at the end of the day. But for a lot of Black people, it's important to see that Black love because we don't always get to see it. And not of any choice of our own, not of our parents' choice, not of our ancestors' choice. Sometimes that was taken away from us, which is why it's so important to see that. Yeah, it is. It's different because, honestly, Shane, I mean, being transparent about it, it's different. A lot of the way that Black people interact with each other is not it's not general information to the world because people haven't wanted to know how we interact with each other. People haven't wanted to know um, what we deem respect and what we I don't it's just so much. I just feel like it is for some people, honestly, I feel like it's a cultural shock. I think that reading a book about two Black people and watching them interact and falling in love can be a cultural shock because it's not something that you're exposed to all the time. It's not the norm, which is so crazy. It's not the norm to be exposed to Black love. Like that to me is mind blowing, but I think that's the truth. I think people are not used to seeing two Black people in love. Yeah, see, and I haven't read Talia Hibbert, but I do want people to understand like a lot of her romances are interracial. And I think that people think that, if you're reading a Black romance, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't count, but that's not when we say, when we mean black love. It doesn't mean that it's written by a black author. It means that the two characters in the book are black and they are the two that are falling in love. But it speaks a lot to the fact that, do people who are traditionally published, do they feel inclined to have to write romances about, if they include black characters, they have to fall in love with with a white character or a character of a different ethnicity or race? Because what romances do we know outside of Beverly Jenkins, who writes, you know, black historical romances? How many people really are mainstream, except, you have old school, like, let me see here, like Brenda Jackson and and a couple of other people who are, I mean, and they're not, I won't even say that they're really, really big name, because I'm thinking about it in terms of Booktube, not necessarily the romance community, because the romance community, um, Alexa Martin, Rochelle, that's who I was looking for, Rochelle's name. Thank you, Shay. Um, I think that the romance community could be a little bit more nuanced with how they choose what books to read. But I think that Booktube at large, with the big names that are out there, with those of us, like Booktube starting to read romance now, you're not finding a lot of black love in those books. And Alyssa Cole is kind of like, for me, it's her mainstream stuff is not always black love either. Like, her first book was, and here I am looking at my show. Her first book was her first book, and one of the novellas is Black Love. It's just one of those situations. Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. That right there, diversity points. That is such that is such a good point. Yeah, 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 yeah. As a matter of fact, one of the books that I wanted to read next month is part of the Kamani romance backlist, which was canceled. Like, that's sad. That's really, really sad. Hey, Dana. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it is. It's like a unicorn. And it's so sad. It's so sad. Carl Weber, Eric Jerome Dickey. But think about this too. When I say this, there are authors out there, do not get me wrong. There are authors out there that have been doing it for years. What I mean in this conversation is us as a community, because how many booktubers do you see really reading Carl Weber and Eric Jerome Dickey? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The way that we push stuff is very interesting to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of her stuff is interracial. Yeah, so it's just not it. It's not. Thanks for coming, Joshana. Um, it's not a bad thing. No one is saying. I think people who read predominantly, from what I have seen within like the Bookstagram and blogging and community, like, everybody says, like, like, they read everything. They read interracial romances. They read multicultural romances. Um, it it's just that you see a disparity when it comes to black love. So I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, well, is it a bad? No, it's not bad. It's not bad to read romance between white characters. It's not bad to read romance between, if it's an interracial relationship or it's multicultural. But you have to acknowledge, and acknowledging is not taking away from others. It's acknowledging that this is here and this is here, and that's a problem. Um, it's listen, it's crazy. It's super crazy. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, 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 yeah. Most definitely. Yeah. The first time I read Eric Jerome Dickey was a couple of years back. It was a couple of years back. Yeah. Because I feel like for the longest time Black people were told that that's the only romance that they could have was side chicks, baby mamas type, hood. We call them hood books. And you sure as hell not gonna find nobody on BookTube reading the hood book. I mean, it's crazy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. That's why we need to have a chat about reading diversely. Let's talk about that. Let's have those conversations. Sorry, y'all. Still trying to catch up. Catch up. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I feel that. I know that that's probably a huge thing. That accessibility is a struggle with popular books. I don't know why we don't read backlist stuff. Because there's some good backlist books out there. I just don't know why it doesn't happen. Yeah, but like for me, hood romances is where I started. And I can take hood romances only in doses though. Like I can't straight read like hood rom and there's some people who can. Um, but I think that people get the perception that we can't have a contemporary romance that doesn't involve like I'm finna shoot this person. I got a baby mama and a side chick. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like you said, like it does happen, but I think people need to see that that's not the norm because people think that that's the norm. People think that you know, um, black women have 4 or 5 baby kids running around. Um, that black men are worth nothing. Like it's that they're all gangbangers. And let me tell you, as a black woman that is single with a child and living in the South, those stereotypes are real. They are real. They are so real. But at this point, that's why I said Cassandra. For me, at this point, is do you care or do you not care? I'm not saying this to you, but I'm just saying, like in general, like, do you care or do you not care? Because what is the purpose? What is the purpose? Because I'm going to tell you right now, yeah, if you're not reading every new release that comes out every single year, there are people who don't want to see that. They only want to see the hype books, the popular books. But why do you want your channel? Why do you want your channel? Because I can't I can't afford to, unless I'm getting it from the library, I can't buy new releases like that. I can't haul 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 new releases. I can't do that. I ain't got pockets for that. I don't know anybody that has pockets for that, but I mean, shoot, if you got it, flaunt it, whatever, girl. Um, but my thing about it is that you have to come to a point and say, what is the purpose of my channel? You have to figure that out because keeping up with the Joneses is not it in the long run. And it's not my business to tell anybody how to do their finances, how to make moves in their life. I don't know anybody's checkbooks or pockets because I'm not in anybody's bank account or their pockets. It's not my business. But in the long haul, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? Because I know for me as an adult, my reading tastes have changed drastically. 6 years ago, my reading, you couldn't get me to pick up a nonfiction book 6 years ago. And here I am. I've been reading nonfiction all year. All year. So I think you really have to you really have to figure out what you want to do. And you're right, people want to see new, but are you concerned about people, or are you concerned about the people that are coming to your channel because you have valuable content? And there's nothing wrong with new releases. I have to keep up with new releases to some extent because it's my job too. I have to know what's on the market because I have to determine what needs to be in my collection, what doesn't need to be in my collection. That's part of my job. I'm not going to sit here in front like, oh, I don't read new releases. That's bullshit. I tell you how many new releases I read every month when I do my stats. But I also think that balance with everything is key. Balance is key. Yeah, I read a good hood book, but it does depends on who's writing it, and sometimes they are just super redundant. They can be super redundant. Yeah, Shay, I will say that about you. You kind of read all over the place, which is good. It's good. It's good. But you read a little bit of everything. So I have much respect for that. Night, Jennifer. We had two Jennifers in the chat tonight. I didn't even notice. Boy, I tell you, people are just dumb. How stupid do you look? How stupid do you look? I should put a mask on like I'm not sitting in my own damn house right now. I'd like, where you at so I can block you? Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. First of all, your name is Spice. Child, I tell you. Talking about you should have a mask on. I said, people ain't got nothing better else to do with their lives than to tell me in my own house to put a mask on. We need to talk about what? What, Deidre? What do we need to talk about? Do we think? No. We all know Spice is one of those anti-maskers. Let's just be real. Spice is an anti-masker. Coming in here with a name like Spice telling me to put my mask on. How about you kiss my whole ass? How about that? How about that? And then get blocked. I need the trolls to hit the like button on their way in. Hit the like button on your way in and on your way out. How about that? How about that? We love a good troll. We done been catfished during lives and everything, y'all. We got people telling us to put masks on. I had to block somebody whose name was Hitler. I don't know if y'all missed that one. Just that's gonna be my new name. How about I change my Twitter name to Blockiana? Because that's how we roll. That's how we roll around these parts. You can get blocked with a quickness. I'll call you out and then I'll cuss you out and then I'll block you. Spice Down, you need to have a mask on. What? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. People do have too much time. People have too much time. People have too much time. Bethany, I have yet to read that book, but there was a lot of controversy behind that book. However, I have it checked out from the library. Because there's a super important conversation affiliated with that book, and I need to kind of see some things for myself. But I'm not going to dive into that right now. I'm not going to dive into that. Um, It was two things. It was some rep issues, I believe, in the book. And then there was some controversy about, not controversy, some comments that were made that were not cool at all. But there was also a very nuanced conversation about how we treat Black creators when something goes down. And whether we are quicker to cancel a Black creator for things that they say and do that are wrong, as opposed to a white creator, meaning that you cancel them and then you have a white creator do something that's wrong, and then all of it, you give them chance after chance after chance. This is not me validating anything that has been done. However, that book is based off of another book, which I just need to read it because of what it's based off of, and see. Because I think that some screenshots were taken, and I don't know if they were in context or not. I'm not backing out of it, Britt. It's just it's a very it's a conversation that I can't hop into because I haven't read it yet. Um, but it's also, when the thing went down on Twitter, it's not behavior that I condone at all. At all. At all. Yeah, and it is, Tammy. It's an Othello retelling, and Othello is overtly the conversations in Othello can be said to be kind of overtly racist. Um, and I think that that was what was supposed to be brought to the table in this book, but I don't know because I haven't read it. But it did bring up a conversation about cancel culture being toxic and being unfairly weighted towards Black creators, and um, um, how um, we're quick to cancel them, but we're quick to give white creators chance after chance after chance after chance. So there was a lot of um, it was a lot of interesting conversations about that. But I can't give full commentary because I haven't taken a look at the book myself. And and that could be said for a whole conversation about art and artistry. I mean, art and artists, and I don't really want to have that conversation. I don't have that conversation right now. Tonight, it's too late to have that conversation. Yeah, 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 yeah. There were a couple of comments about it on YouTube. Yeah, 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 yeah. Bethany, yeah, yeah. It's yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now. Johnny. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it can be retold in a good way, and I don't know what the intention is. Um yeah, yeah, Leo. I think we're done with sprints at this point. I don't think we're having I I don't think we're gonna have conversations. And this is and where's the comment? I think this is yeah, this is kind of where I'm it's kind of difficult that everybody's not ready to have that conversation yet. Um, and I think everybody's not ready to have a conversation about how, if you choose not to read something or you choose not to support something, that is within your right. It's never invalidated. You are always right to um, not want to support someone. But that goes back to that conversation about being critical and wanting to find out for yourself, um, instead of just following. I don't want to say the herd because it's not a good word, But I think sometimes you have to look at some things for yourself and kind of get the full picture of it. Um, she doubled down on some comments that were extremely transphobic, extremely. And I couldn't believe it. But that's a very serious conversation that, um, yeah, I couldn't. I'm still kind of I don't want to say I'm in shock about it, but I'm very disappointed. Very disappointed. Um, I will tell you, um, it's hard because she's prolific, but I don't agree. I don't agree with her thoughts and her stances. Yeah, we are, Josh. Yeah, we are. And this is a very different conversation to have because I didn't even realize it until someone else's live that she had even made the comments, and I was like, damn, why make those comments, boo? Hold on, y'all. Um, here. I know somebody's gonna ask me this question. I don't know if I have an answer to this because I believe that this question is not black and white. And I think people want it to be black and white. And people want it to be a hard line of yes and no. And I don't think it is. I don't think it is a yes or no question. And for me, it adds another layer of difficulty because I'm a librarian and I cannot censor. I do not believe in censorship. Um, and there are a lot of prolific authors out there who will tell you that they also do not believe in censorship. Does that mean that we agree with what is being told or we agree with the perspectives of that author? No. In my personal life, um, I will not engage in content that is harmful to others. I think that that is empathy at play. What's difficult about this question is that there are books, especially classics, um, that are written within their time. And it's kind of hard to say we should not engage with that author's work because we find out that they're racist, like Laura Ingalls Wilder, for example. Okay. Um, she wrote some pretty egregious things about Indigenous people. And while I personally just will not bring that into my household, um, and while that's not something that I would want my child to engage with, I do at the same time believe that having a conversation about that content is also important. And I think sometimes you can't. I think sometimes you genuinely can't. And that um I think someone put it in there. It's kind of hard to separate when authors put themselves into their works. because they're, as much as they may try to, I mean, I think it ties into bias. You put yourself into your works, whether intentionally or not. You're writing from what you know. You're writing from what your experience is, and if these are your thoughts and ideals, then how could you not be a part of your work? So for me, especially on my channel, no, I don't actively engage um, in works that are harmful to other people. And that's just my personal belief. I think that it's easy to say, well, I don't financially support, um, or whatever the case may be, but I can't get enjoyment out of harmful content. I hope that makes sense. I can't. And that's me speaking. But I also can't bring my personal beliefs into my workspace. So it is very hard for me sometimes in a work environment, like, and I'm not going to bring this person's up because I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. But I think we all kind of get the point of what I'm talking about. That individual stuff is still out there. It's still in libraries. People still check it out. People still engage with it, and I can't stop them. And I can't speak against it. So for me, it's very, very hard for me to answer this question because in my personal life, I don't separate. I don't, because I feel like the two are so entwined. It's like, how can you? Um, Even if it's not overt or it's not written down, it's an extension of them. Um, and I can't read something knowing that it's hurting someone else. Now, because I'm reading from Nightbrit, because I'm reading from a certain perspective, sometimes I don't see harmful content at first. I may not see it, I may not catch it, um, because I'm not seeing things through a certain lens. And I think that we have to understand that too. Some people are not going to always catch harmful content because they're not seeing that through someone else's lens. And I think you have to be a little bit more gracious with people about that. Um, Sometimes people have to be made aware. And um, I think that it's okay to make people aware, that something is problematic to a group. But I know for me that once a group has said, um, like for instance, even though I held up that work by that author, um, if I read it, I will not. It won't be publicly because I know that it's been harmful. Um, Other people have said it's been harmful to them, and so I guess to answer your question, I guess my answer is for me it's no. It's it's no, but it's no in a way that I think that because in a public setting, like being like this, it can be harmful to people, and I don't want to harm anybody. And I think that if we read more diversely, it would be easier to give up stuff, you know? It'd be easier to find substitutions. Like it hurt my feelings a lot about the individual that I'm not going to name because I went through a very, very bad, I had a rough childhood. Not going to get into details. There were certain parts of my childhood that were hard. And at the time that that first book came out, it helped me a lot. Um, it guided me through a lot of issues. So it really, really hurt when that happened. But at the same time, I think because I read so widely, um, there are substitutes. I don't feel I don't feel inclined for that to be. I can let go of that. I can let go of it because the empathetic part of me knows that um what I got enjoyment out of is hurting someone else, and I know what it feels like to be in that position. And I just can't separate that from that person because that's their child. It is their blood. That's them. That's a part of them, and they're harmful. And I think that if we read more diversely, we'd be able to substitute. Um, we would be able to say, like for me, like I just that's not something that I'm going to actively read to my child. There are substitutes that I would rather read to her that have the same feeling of community and magic and stuff like that. Like there are other books that are substitutes, but when you don't read as widely, um, it's hard to find substitutions. It's very, very hard to find substitutions, but that's what bothers me sometimes. I think about this question is because we hold on to what makes us feel good, not knowing that there are other things that are just as good, if not better, um, because we don't know that they exist. It makes letting go of certain things very, very difficult. So it makes my job hard, y'all. It really does. And I don't really talk about this a lot because um, it's so complicated working where, your ethics, your code of ethics means that you don't censor. You don't hide. You don't actively tell people do not read this, you know? And that's why I don't really get involved in these conversations because I'm bound not to. I can only do what I personally and what guides my personal life. But I'm even very careful when I review. I frame stuff in how it made me feel. Even though sometimes I want to tell people like, don't read it, don't read this book. I can't. I just it. My position is a little bit more. It's a little bit more. I think that question is difficult, but I think like throwing my profession into the mix, it makes that conversation even more difficult for me to have. Because while I want to actively say, my heart and my soul wants to say, do not read this person, do not check out their books. I don't believe in censorship either. Um, I mean, as a librarian, you can't. It's all about accessibility, regardless of whether you agree with it or not. And that makes it, oh gosh, I can't tell y'all how difficult that makes it. It makes it very, very difficult. It makes this conversation very, very difficult. Um, but I know that for me and what I do on this channel, it's very important for me to make sure that I'm not harming people. Because I think about it in terms of like triggering and microaggressions and how I have a huge thing with microaggressions. And I don't want anybody to be triggered or uncomfortable or experience microaggressions by watching any content that I put out. Um, which is why I'm always open to have the conversation. Because someone says a book is harmful, and just because I don't see it as harmful doesn't mean that it's not harmful. Because that means that I'm looking at that book through my lens. And I think a lot of times we have to realize that. But I think that empathy is a conversation that needs to happen here. Um, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. Catch up on the comments real quick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Laura Ingalls Wilder, they actually decided to pull her books, her Little House on the Prairie books. Not pull her books, but they wanted to pull her name off of an award. It was a children's award that was given out through ALA, I believe. And they wanted to pull her name because I mean, she said a lot of problematic things. I really don't read a lot of classics, to be honest with you. If you've ever seen my channel, I don't read a lot of classics. I don't. Um, and I'm not saying that they can't be read for enjoyment. And it doesn't really matter because I mean, I don't know if it in terms of like, I mean, most classics are on public domain, so they're not making any money anyway. So I don't know if it's a conversation about support because with I mean, there is no support tied to that necessarily. Um, so I don't really know. I mean, I own classics. I own a whole stack of classics, but I think once again that's a difficult question because um, I don't know if I'm reading them for enjoyment. I can't read problematic stuff for enjoyment. It bothers me if I'm reading it for critical analysis, and that goes back to I wish Miss WSC Reader was still here. I think that goes back to what we define as reading for fun and what we define as reading critically. Um, because classics are forced on us in high school and middle school. So, like Huckleberry Finn, like I think someone put that, like the use of the N word, like, and that conversation too is a lot more. And I'm not going to get into that conversation about use of the N word because there's a lot of that happens in the booktube community as well. But um, so I guess I can't really answer that because I don't read a lot of classics. I mean, unless you count like the most classics I've ever been from is from Jane Austen. Lord, goes to trouble. Okay, let me catch up, y'all. Hold on. Um, yeah, I say yes and no to this. I don't think that we're ever gonna always. I don't think we will ever live in a utopian society where there's gonna be no issues. But I think when you're part of a community and something is hurting a part of your community, I think you have a responsibility to not further hurt those people. But that's me, and that's me as an empath. Like I or empath or however you say the word. Um, as much as I read, I can't. I have my pronunciation is always garbage. Um, it's hard for me to kind of function in that way, and it becomes emotionally tolling too. So don't get me wrong. I think it does. It wears on you a little bit because you get too emotionally invested in everything. But I know what it's like to be hurt, and I don't want to hurt someone else. Will I? Yeah, because it's human nature. It is human nature. Have I read books that are probably problematic? Absolutely. To some group or another, absolutely. Um, but I don't think that we can move through this community and say, well, I mean, it's just not that. I mean, it's not that it's not a big deal, but you know, books are always going to be problematic to somebody. I think that kind of disregards people's feelings to an extent, and I think that in itself is problematic. Um, but that's me. I want to be a person that's aware of how materials make people feel. That's also me as a librarian, very aware of how materials make people feel and being careful not to harm people uh, because of my own experiences. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Um, Kathleen, let's see here. Um, I don't think so at that point. I think if they're genuinely asking, if they're asking me if an author is right. I mean, if they're directly asking me, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm not going to. If someone comes to check out a book, I'm not going to say you shouldn't check that out because the author is transphobic. I can't say that, because that interferes with the whole concept of accessibility. I can't. Just like if someone asked me for a copy of Mein Kampf by Hitler, I can't question that. It's not my job to question that. It's my job is to provide access. Um, if someone directly asks me, yes, I will say, oh, is this author racist? Yes, because you're directly asking me. You're directly asking me that question. Oh, I thought you left. No, I was just saying that I think you always make good points about like the conversation about reading critically and how sometimes people get comfortable with stuff and they don't want to disassociate it. They don't want to let go of things. And sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to. But yeah, that conversation about reading critically is a tough conversation to have. Night, Shay. Shay, I saw your message. I'll DM you. All right, y'all. Let's go for like 10 more minutes. I do have to get up in the morning and go to work. I do. I do have to get up and for Thanksgiving, yes, we are. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out because y'all are having conversations. Um, yeah. People have um I heard that a lot of people don't like Narnia because it has underlying Christian themes, if I'm not mistaken. I think Aslan is supposed to be um Aslan is supposed to be a Christ-like figure, I think. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Where's Tammy? Tammy working magic. Okay, 15-minute warning. You guys got until 11:15, okay? And then I'm bouncing. No problem. I love having these conversations. I wish we just had I wish we had these conversations more often. Yeah, that's what I said. I thought that Aslan was Christ-like figure. Um, and that's why a lot of people have had problems with Narnia. Which I mean everybody like, I do feel like you can't. I mean, and it's true. I mean, that's why I said that comment's kind of hard. It's yes and no. You can find problems in anything. That doesn't mean that that should be used as a blanket to not talk about problems. Um, and I think that um, sometimes people use that as a means to not talk about stuff, and that's not helpful at all either. Um, I think it's important to have constructive conversations about problematic materials and not just say, well, everybody's having a problem with everything, so I'm just gonna go about my business. It's like there's no way to function in life, let alone when engaging uh, with textual material. um, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I definitely heard this, that it was definitely representation of the the crucifixion and the resurrection. Like, it's very kind of out there. It's kinda hard not to see. Um, so, but when we do banned books, when we talk about banned books, um, most banned books, like when ALA does like banned book week, um, is that these are books that not necessarily are problematic. A lot of banned books are because you have some very um, I don't want to get into politics in this because it you have some people who banned books are usually banned for stuff like violence, cursing, sexual content, um, never really celebration of books that like have like racism and stuff like that in them. Um, most banned books do not traditionally have problematic content. They are usually challenged because somebody's PTA has some more conservative individuals um, who um, who don't agree with what's in books. Like The Hate You Give was challenged. I don't know if it ever got banned, but I know it was challenged. Interestingly, in Charleston by the Charleston Police Department because of representation of police, which there's a lot of conversation that happens in that. So that's what you usually find in ALA's banned books, is content that people don't that less liberal like individuals don't like. That's a nice way to put it. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, 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 Nicole, you didn't cause any problem. No, 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 no. I don't want you to feel that way. You no, no, no. That's great. I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you said that because sometimes people don't know what banned books mean. Some people don't even know what books are banned. So no, don't feel like you're no, your comment wasn't a problem at all. Um, I think that um I think it does. I think we were just talking about just problematic books in general. Um, of the time, and that's I think time plays a role too in those questions of whether you can separate the art from the artist. Time is a big factor because you should you would think like, oh yeah, 2020, you should know better than to do that. Um, 1900, probably not so much, not so much. But it's good. It's good to have those conversations. Because usually Kathleen knows where it comes from. Somebody's PTA is out of control, and and that's what ends up happening. Somebody's PTA gets out of pocket, um, and they they want to show out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And usually it's really not legitimate stuff. It's usually really not legitimate stuff as to why it's getting banned or challenged. Like I really don't feel like Charleston Police Department really, I mean, it was stupid. I mean, shit, if you didn't want to just say you didn't want your kids reading a book by a black author, keep it 100. Everybody want to use this damn coded language all the time. People just be transparent. Yeah, 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 yeah. Why are they banned? Some books, yeah, for previous societal ideals. It is. It is. It is. Yeah, yeah. I know that. I know that probably hit home. Some PTA members wilding out. They literally trying to run the damn school like just go sit at home. Don't worry about little Johnny while he's in school. That's why you got people who are paid and trained to do their jobs. Yeah, yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't know what happened with that second book. That book should have never been released from what I heard. Um, but a lot of those books get banned too because they place into perspective a lot of things that society doesn't want to deal with. And a lot of things that people want to censor their kids from, that they don't want their kids to know about. Although those two classics are extremely important in terms of literature. Um, yeah. Yeah, I think time plays a big role. I think time is a factor that we don't. That's why I keep saying, y'all, that question is not black and white. That question isn't it's not a black and white question at all. And I can understand why we want it to be because people want to it's easier to deal with black and white than in gray areas. It's easier to have a straight yes or no question, or yes or no answer to a question like, is it okay for me to read this book as long as I don't support the author? Is it really? Maybe not in this situation. Child, let's not even get started because the same people who want to ban the book were probably using the N word at home. So hey, let's behind closed doors. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do their newer books? That's a good point, Yanni. Like, what do their newer books look like? Now, if you tripping and you bugging in 2020, like I can't save you. I really can't. Um, I can't. I can't save you at all. Yeah, banned books are very interesting. Banned and challenge books and the reasons why, and they get banned and challenged in different areas for different reasons. And it's very intriguing to find out why they get banned and why they are challenged. And some of the reasons are just complete. I mean, they're stupid. They're stupidest reason. Um, they're the stupidest reasons, to be honest with you. All right, y'all. We have 8 more minutes. Anything else that y'all want to talk about? We were supposed to be talking about subcounts and all that stuff, and we got off on a tangent. We did no sprints whatsoever. So I apologize if this was misleading. Because I definitely said, let's do this and let's let's do sprints and chat, and we did no sprints. No sprints whatsoever, which is fine. I had chat for 8 minutes, and then I'm gonna go read 8 minutes, and then I'm going to go detox and get my behind into bed. Yeah. I'm glad that y'all enjoy these conversations. I think that um I hope that maybe this will become a normal, not just like with me on this channel, because I do continue to do these, next month and um into 2021. But I hope that these conversations extend outside of these lives. Um, because I think they're important. And I know people say like, "Oh, well, I'm just here for fun. I don't want to be." And I respect that. I do. I respect that because you got to protect your mental health. You got to protect your well-being, but I think that when we talk about how the booktube community can do better, how we can be better and how we need to consider certain things, and how we need to change certain behaviors. And um, I think that it's just important. I think it's important. I hope one day this is. I hope one day this is normal. I hope one day that we can have more chats like this and we can agree to disagree. I think that's the point to understand is y'all saw too, and no, Yanni, not a single sprint was done. um, I do think that what's important is that you can have constructive conversations like this. Um, you can have constructive conversations like this and agree to disagree. Because I think it's important. I think it's okay. I think you can disagree, you can bring your facts in it, but it's also it's good to see other perspectives. And I think it's coming to a point in which it's like, okay, you know, we all want to get to the same place, but maybe we're not agreeing on how to get there. Um, and that's okay as long as we get there. But I think sometimes we're afraid of conflict and we are afraid of disagreements. And I mean, I'm not afraid of conflict. And but that's me, that's my personality. I'm not afraid of conflict. I grew up in a household where I couldn't be afraid of conflict. Um, but I know that everybody may not be in that place, and I hope we get to a place where it is an environment where we can say like, like I respect your opinion, but I don't I'm going to respectfully also disagree with this part of your opinion, and I'm going to share my thoughts about it. And feelings will be hurt. People will feel some type of way about it, and that's okay too. But in any community that I'm personally a part of, and I think this is where I've been coming around to the purpose of my channel now, what I'm feeling like, and where I see myself is um, in all aspects of my life. I want to have these constructive conversations. I want to be an environment where people can talk about the issues that we face as a community and learn how we can overcome. And I'm here to read for fun too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not always here to be like, I'm not sitting here trying to have these conversations all the time, um, like every day. But I also think that we can't change things if we don't talk. So that's just me. That is just me. No, my love. I only do this once a week. I usually do it on Monday nights at 8:30 is when I do it. Child, you better get to those arcs and finish them before the end of the month. Yeah, so the sprints can be whatever you want them to be. Like if you need to edit, you need to write, you need to read, whatever. Just think of it more of as like productivity type of sprint. It just helps when you're doing it with other people and encourages you to do more. Yeah, I agree. Disagreeing is important. Disagreeing is how you see other people's perspectives, and disagreeing is how you figure out how to get to the place that you all need to be. Um, like I said, even if you don't agree on how you get there, you just know you need to get there. I uh, I don't know. I don't know. I wonder if the conversation comes from the fact that people are told to read critically in school, and they associate it, which sometimes I do blame school for that. People associate it with hard work, and it could be a trigger for stress, an unconscious trigger for stress to read critically. That association, that word association. But I think that it's important. I think it's very, very important to read critically. I mean, I have some stuff that there's no way for me to read it critically because it's not meant to be read critically. But Like we always say, reading is very much political. It is political. And it kind of bugs me a little bit when you were like, there's too much social commentary in this book. I'm like, child, there's not enough. But I think you can do both. I agree with you. I think you can do both. I think you can read for fun and you can read critically. You don't read critically, like, I mean, I don't know how people don't. I would love to hear someone's explanation on that though. Um, I don't know how you don't, but I'm also at a different point in my life, and I respect that about other people too, is that uh, not everybody, um, not everybody is at the same point in their journey. Um, no matter what we're looking at, whether that's, in understanding being Black or reading critically or, answering certain questions. I think that everybody is not in the same journey. So for me, being where I'm at in my life and the stage of life that I'm in, it's hard for me to wrap my head around. Um, it's hard for me to wrap my head around people saying like I don't read critically. And I have to get out of that. I need to have a conversation with someone who's in that state of mind. Um, because I'm not. So it's very hard for me. But I know that I have been there before, but I'm so much older now that, I don't I know that I've been there, that I haven't always been critical. I haven't always done analysis or in-depth looks. I mean, the same thing I say about like nonfiction. Like 6 years ago, I wasn't in the place that I was then that I'm in now. And that's because we change and we grow as humans. Um, so it's interesting. You just ate your last Whopper. Good night, Erica. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. I'm glad, and thank you for your perspectives too. Like, I really appreciate it. They were great. They were awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think this is what I was trying to get across is that I think that understanding the definition of what it means to read critically, um, I think that definition is not clear. And I don't think people think of it as fun, which is why people are like Yanni said it perfectly. Thank you, Yanni. Yeah, the definition of reading critically, like what does that mean to people who oppose it? Yeah, I think that understanding like and what that association is when it means to read critically. Like, are you associating it with like your high school teacher who told you to read, this dry ass classic critically, and word associations mean a lot too. There's certain words that I just like if I hear certain words, sometimes they don't bring up good memories. And I get that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with this. I do. I agree with this. Um, I think no matter what, if you read, you're a reader. Because I think that a statement like that is blanketed towards a certain age bracket, which is dangerous because I would never tell a child that's not reading critically that they're not a reader. Um, I think anybody that reads a book is a reader, and I'm very much so about telling people no matter what you are, a reader, because some people just need to hear that, especially kids. And I'm saying this just as a perspective from someone who works with kids. Sometimes it's important to give them that label because you never know. And I've seen how much confidence I can give a child. Um, and some people just don't know how, and some people are just not there yet. It doesn't make them any less of a reader. I think it does change the experience, though. I think that reading critically, um, gives you insight to a lot of things about yourself, about the world around you, about other people's experiences. The associations and the connections that you make become crazy. And I use The Deep as an example. I think a lot of people read The Deep. I know. I'm about to wrap up. I think a lot of people read The Deep by River Solomon and unfairly judged it because um, the com the the comments about it were, "Oh, this isn't," and um, I think too that when you read it, a book like that, it's not read critically, you don't get the associations that the author was maybe going for, which can make which can lessen the value of the book in your eyes. I hope that made sense. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I agree, I agree, I agree. Yeah, it's not like writing an essay. I don't read to write essays. I think for me, a lot of my critical reading is about connections to real world experiences or real life experiences, um, which a lot of authors do. They're writing what they know. Um, and I say the same thing even for fantasy and science fiction. They're writing what they know, and there are deeper connections to be made from an author writing what they know based on their experiences and their beliefs. Um, And I don't know if you would always get that without reading critically. I don't know. I would say too that I would say that once again, people are in different phases of their life. And some people are just not there yet. And that's okay. Yeah, that too. Some people are like, oh, I just read for fun, and they're reading critically. Because they don't know the definition of the word. All right, y'all. It is 11:22. I said that I was going to end this at 11:15. And we went overtime. We went 7 minutes overtime. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna wrap this up. We will be back next week on the 30th. Any suggestions for topics? I will stay on for a couple of seconds. If anybody has suggestions for topics, let me know. And I'm just gonna hang here. I don't know if anybody's gonna say anything. Some people may not say anything. And if you don't, that's okay. I can just pick something myself, and that's fine too. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I feel like I sound like Raymond from Princess and the Frog. I'm glad that helped you finish some dishes. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. I see consumerism a lot. Or did I just see it twice? Diverse reads and consumerism, reading diversely. I think that those two kind of go hand in hand. I think we can do both. Mood chatters, children's stories. Okay. Critical reading. All right. So we may do, yeah, see a lot of, okay. I'm gonna take these ideas down because I see a little bit of everything. I see consumerism. Hold on. I'm actually writing this down. Consumerism. I see diversity. I saw Shane wrote Booktube burnout, which I feel like I'm about to burn out just a little bit. Hold on, I can't type. Snails are a trip. Um, ooh, coming with the tough topics, trauma porn. Yes, that's a huge one. Okay, trauma porn And then also why adults should read children's books. Oh, Tammy, don't get me started, love. Don't get me started on that. The disrespect for children's books in this community is astonishing. Okay. And I just touched my eyeshadow. That's all right though. Adults reading childhood book or children's books. Keep seeing childhood. Readathons. Are there too many? The same could be said, are there too many book clubs? We don't want to hear that though. But I think, you know what, Shane? I think that is a good conversation for Booktube trends and how that impacts the community. Okay. Country versus author from that diaspora. Okay. Reading from now, Yanni, you may have to talk to me about this a little bit more. Country versus. Hold on. You know, the iPhone keyboard is low key too small. Okay. Yeah, the diaspora conversation is a very complicated one. Goodreads Choice Awards. Ooh, child. I could already tell you I don't think they're necessary. I think they're horrible, but we can chat about that. Bree. Oh, Kathleen, like a Booktube 101. That's what I'll label it as. Yes, if y'all have not seen the Shaded Choice Awards, be sure to check that out. That was started by Princess and Jazz, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. I think I got all the ones. Right? The fact that we've still here and Bree's on a whole flight and landed. That's a shame. That's a shame. All right. So I have consumerism, diversity, booktube burnout, trauma porn, adult reading children's, readathons, are there too many / booktube trends, reading from a country versus the diaspora, Goodreads Choice Awards, and Booktube 101. Thank you, Rebecca. Okay. Are we good? Are we good? All right, y'all. Everybody stay safe. Get some rest wherever you may be. Don't burn yourselves out. And we will be back with another discussion next week. And I'll let y'all know what the topic is. Okay? Thanks for joining me.